far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, ooh, pump it up, pump it up.
Town Pump has been Montana's best since 1953, and Town Pump is proud to send Skyline Sports on the road to Nashville. Montana State is gunning for its first national championship in 41 years. Follow along at SkylineSportsMT.com. The road to Nashville, proudly presented by Town Pump.
Town Pump, right down the road, pump it up, oh yeah.
Well, we left Tootell home because we had to have somebody to monitor the television while we were down in Nashville. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. What an unbelievable Monday night, huh?
It was an unbelievable Monday night, man. It was obviously an all-timer. It's going to be an all-timer no matter what, but it's an all-timer that went the Bobcats' way, even as they tried every which way to make sure that it didn't go their way. Well, in the second half particularly, but ultimately it did. And, congratulations to them. Phenomenal season. Phenomenal run of seasons, and now culminating in actually putting the ring on that finger. So absolute kudos to them. And an ugly ball game in a lot of ways, both directions. A beautiful ball game in a lot of ways, both directions. And what we got was an absolute classic. And it's fun to hear Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser talk about what an unbelievable national championship football game that was on, pardon the interruption, once again, after us, the greatest television show to ever air on TV. Don't talk to me about SNL or Letterman or Carson, all of which are in the top 5, but nothing is better than PTI. So anyway, all that to say, I mean, it's what, as a fan and as a lover of football, you just couldn't ask for more than that. You just can't. The drama, the twists and turns, the changes in script, in momentum, the shortcomings, the amazing plays, the absolute off-the-chart 12 out of 10 types of things that you saw, and then the 0 out of 10 snapping the football on time. I mean, it's incredible. And tell me what you think about this, but because I do feel when you take a season or a team and you see the things that they do well and where are their strengths and where are their weaknesses and how, and you start to project, well, what does this team need to do to win? What does that team need to do to win, et cetera, et cetera. And then when it comes to particularly national championship games and Super Bowls, it's so rare that the vision that you've had actually is the thing that plays out. And it's always secondary and tertiary players that make plays, although it was headliners in this football game for Montana State. Let's be clear about that. But it's also stuff that's unprecedented. I mean, they had more pre-snap penalties in this game than the whole season combined, I'm guessing. I mean, it was a disease. I don't know. It was absolutely shocking. And those are the things that you can't plan for. Obviously, Coach Vigen even said it in his press conference. Like, there's things that that are going to be unscripted for us today. It was penalties. Like, it was just like, how do you handle that? But again, I mean, just taken as a whole, you just let it go. And as I said last week going into the game, I mean, I did make a prediction, which was that I thought Montana State was going to absolutely roll. But I wasn't going to try and do anything but just let it wash over me. And this game was exactly what you're asking for as a football fan, to take it right down to a 4th and 10 in overtime with a 6-point deficit. I mean, it doesn't get more dramatic than that for all the marbles. And congratulations to Montana State, man. I mean, they deserve this. They really do. Whether they deserve that individual game, they deserve to be national champions.
Skyline Sports is on the road to Nashville, and we couldn't get there without our friends at Dawes Insurance. Brad Dawes has been serving Montana and Idaho with State Farm for more than 50 years, particularly Bozeman and Big Sky. Brad's team of 12 professionals has more than 100 years of combined experience and among the best trust of any insurance agency in Montana. Brad and his son Dusty are the only father and son duo to earn All-American honors each for Montana State football. Brad was an All-American defensive lineman for legendary head coach Sonny Holland in the 1970s, and Dusty was a All-American long snapper and offensive lineman for Mike Kramer in the early 2000s. Dawes Insurance offers a full line of State Farm products, including auto, home, life, health, and business insurance. Brad and his team can be reached at 406-586-HOME or braddawes.com. Dawes Insurance, proud to help Skyline Sports on our road to Nashville.
Game out there today, boys. That was awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, guys, check it out. We got the new fifth quarter jerseys and a note from Tommy. Tommy says, best of luck this season, and remember to keep the fifth quarter tradition alive. Whoa! Hey, guys, look. We made it to the R-Bar.
I'm already ready to go.
Our plays are on fire today, boys.
Yeah, so these wings. And the drinks are secured.
Cheers to our bar.
Fifth quarter.
Meet the MSU players here at the R-Bar after every home game.
There's so many places I want to get to, but the national exposure for the FCS, the game's always been on national TV, but they decided to flex it to a Monday, and it's specifically the Monday after the NFL is over, where there's no Monday Night Football.
That's right.
People are clamoring for Monday Night Football, and then that was Monday Night Football. You combine that with the fact that every headline in the FBS right now is accompanied by a dollar sign, whether it's a coach on his way in or out, or, this team's on this run. Oh, how much does the quarterback get paid? Oh, this team and this player are going where? Oh, they this team lost in the quarterfinals and they got this guy going in the portal. I think that all that stuff is turning people off of college football. But we talked about last week how much people still love college football, the sport. And so then to have that be your only option to watch, and then you turn it on, and it's that environment, it's that broadcast team, it's that that amount of fans. It's a kid from Billings, Montana, where you never heard of him. His name's Taco. Are you kidding me? You turn that on, you're like, this kid's name's Taco? How did that happen? You know? And then you got the quarterback play, stellar on both sides. And then this all-time great classic game with so much drama and so many ebbs and flows. I can't wait to see the rating share on this thing, man. I think it's going to be the highest rated FCS game in the history of the subdivision.
It is. It's going to be crazy. I mean, you would think, first of all, that Taco would play for UTEP and Flank Steak would play for Montana State, but that's just, it's not how it works out. And we're broadening out our culinary efforts here as it pertains to proper names. But no, you're 100% right. And one thing I thought that, and you wouldn't get this if you didn't follow the FCS regularly like we do, but I mean, we're covering the two biggest environments week in and week out that there are in the country, pretty much. I mean, maybe you can throw an NDSU in there to some extent, and maybe there's one or two other schools.
Carleton State is probably in there sometimes.
But the reality is, I mean, it's Missoula and Bozeman that way. But with that being said, this was the biggest feeling environment that I've ever encountered. I mean, it felt twice to three times as big as any Frisco national championship game in the telecast. And obviously it was literally bigger in terms of just the venue and the attendance and all of that. But it also felt, where you have a full on-field but separate pregame broadcast and show leading up to this game, with Acho and all those guys. And then, you go up to the booth and you make it a real production that way. For it to be singled out on Monday, we don't know what's going to happen with the schedule at the FBS level. And I think, we got the Christmas, New Year's holidays on Thursdays this year, which influenced where those games fell. And it opened up this Monday to be all by itself. That is just the dream of dreams for the FCS and the commissioners of the teams and the ADs involved. I mean, it all came together to sort of be the perfect storm in terms of throwing the absolute widest net that's ever been thrown for FCS football. And the game itself didn't deliver in some ways, but then ultimately just to draw people in and be interested and excited about what you're watching could not have been better. And so, yeah, I mean, an absolutely massive win for everybody involved, for both schools, for the entire subdivision, and obviously for Montana State. I mean, the rich get richer, right? I mean, this is the school in the city that has grown the most, had the most exposure, had the most money influx of probably anybody in the country for a lot of reasons, starting with COVID right to the present day. I mean, there's so many factors, and it seems like all of them have been to the benefit of Montana State. And this was no different. I mean, this is really the culmination of all of that in a lot of ways. And it's like you're already got your foot pressed down to the floor on the gas pedal, and then you hit the turbo boost, and now you're off into the stratosphere for next year and beyond. So obviously there's so much that's going to happen, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself. You have to revel in what has happened before you start worrying about all that other stuff. I think you just got to take it for what it is this year and in this season.
Yeah, we were discussing, are you familiar with the concept of the arrival fallacy? Like you grind your whole life towards something, or even not your whole life, you grind for a long time, and then you get to the mountaintop and it's infinitely more disappointing than you expected it to be.
So yeah,
it's like the old coaches would tell you, like, the grind is the part that you have to revel in, like the climbing the mountain when it's difficult. Like getting to the top of Everest is never going to compare to all of the steps along the way where you almost die.
Yeah, it's Tina's experience every day that she's been married to me. So I do, but no, I mean, that's for sure. I mean, there's so many stories about, Troy Aikman winning the Super Bowl,
right?
And he won it.
I don't think the Bobcats are going to have an arrival fallacy for a while, because like you say, you have to just revel in it because it has been so long, because you have been this forlorn program that was always the little brother of your rival, and had all these heartbreaks. And even when you've been good, you've had heartbreaks too, right? Like you've had times when you've come up way short and just short and all these different things over even just the last 10 or 15 years. And then to have the breakthrough. It was so funny because when they scored right before halftime on that wicked drive, that
three-play drive, 32 seconds, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, Dane Steele has the play of the game until Taco Dowler makes the play of the game later on.
Yeah.
When they had that 3-play drive, I thought, oh, wow, that's separation point. They get the ball right after halftime. They're going to get it back again. This ball
See you later.
The ball control that Illinois State is employing is going to go bye-bye, because all of a sudden they're going to be down 28-7. They're not going to be able to handle it. But then for the way Illinois State was able to manage the second half, all of a sudden then the pucker factor becomes a real thing. And you have these 25,000 people in Nashville that have been celebrating like you've already won the national championship, because you've already beat the Grizz twice. You don't have to play NDSU. And then you're up at halftime, and then you think you're going to be up even more in the second half, and it starts to whittle away. And all of a sudden, the attitude changes, the dynamic changes, the energy in the stadium. And it's, oh shit, what's going on? Are the Bobcats of old coming back? And to be on the sideline in the fourth quarter was one of the craziest experiences I've had as a radio and or television and or print or podcast, whatever, a media person, because I was just surrounded by literally thousands of people that were having a manic episode.
Yeah.
They couldn't handle like the emotion and the ups and downs of what was going on. And you're just a conscientious observer, but like I'm a human still. I can feel the energy of all these people that I know and like that I really like and appreciate. And some of them are my friends, and it is just totally wild to be on the side. But then they figured out a way to get it done.
I went from, this was my pattern. Are the Cats going to win? The Cats are going to win. Are the Cats going to lose? Oh my God, they are going to lose. The Cats won. Like that was the up and down. And I got to say, we talk about momentum a lot and like, how do you get it back and how do you lose it? And I mean, when Montana State was in full meltdown mode, couldn't pick up a first down, couldn't couldn't snap the ball without going back 5 yards. You thought, well, they just, especially in the first, I mean, it happened the entire game, including the overtime. I mean, it never stopped. They never fixed it. They never figured it out. And to sit there and go, well, okay, that was an awful first half that way, and they have a 14-point lead, and they are going to, get this pre-snap count, snap count figured out, and they're going to get it going. And then for that to never really happen, and then for them to lose the lead, it ends up in a tie game, and then for the opportunity for Illinois State to go down there and take a lead, you go, well, how does this happen? And the only way Montana State ultimately was able to get their momentum back was for it to be given back to them. And they're very, very fortunate. And I think if you asked...
But also to take it with the blocked kicks, though, right?
Well, look, man, he came clean off the edge to get the block. I get that. If there is a regret, and there is, it's, on Illinois State, it's not going for it on that okay. Play. And knowing this was one of the things about being there and watching the telecast and getting a bunch of the backstory about the kicking situation, which I was obviously unfamiliar with at Illinois State, and rolling this kid out there. And I thought that Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler did such an excellent job, because when he rolled out there for that field goal, I thought it was a less likely than more likely chance that he was going to make it on account of the information they provided. And by God, they were spot on with that. And the kicking game, did in the Redbirds and was the ultimate fact. And it was a play. I mean, I don't want to take away from coming off the edge, blocking that thing clean. I mean, you're a face mask away from taking it to the house and having that be the game winner, just about a walk-off, field goal block touchdown headed the other way, not the way it worked out. And then, of course, they got themselves into 3rd and 28 after more problems, which are just inconceivable coming out of that. So we go to overtime, and now what do you got? And Illinois State scores in 2 plays, and you go, oh my God. And then when he misses the extra point, you go, well, Montana State's going to win now. It's written in the stars, man. And then they get to 4th and 10, you go, Illinois State's going to do it. And then it's just, We
can't allow them to find any hope. No hope. Make it mean something, fellas. Now is the time. This is the place. Any team, anywhere, anytime.
Y'all take the fight to him.
It's going to be picked off. Taken.
Take 1 week. Episode 6.
When I was approached by a group of men, really right out of our national championship appearance, I think they saw NIL as an opportunity to continue to allow our program to grow. And it was very well thought out of. At the time, they didn't just come up with this on a whim. I think they studied other institutions across the country at all levels to be able to do it right, to be able to implement it the right way, align themselves ultimately with Blueprint after talking, I think, with several outside entities on how it should be managed. All our intentions with the Bobcat Collective are in the right place, and that's the most important thing. They're about continuing to promote our program, allowing our guys opportunities to help along with that. I think that's really important. It really, I think, has provided this give and take. Our guys are certainly benefiting from it, but then they're giving back at the same time, whether it's individual opportunities with particular businesses or just in general giving back through the collective to our community.
Taco time.
This crazy. How about the fact that it came down to those 2 dudes, though? Because those 2 dudes, Justin Lamson and Taco Dowler, Montana State. I think that Brett Vegan said this when I asked him about the all Big Sky stuff, because Montana State won the conference and they were undefeated in the conference. Yet they had the 3rd most number of first team all conference guys. They were behind the Grizz by several guys. I mean, the Grizz had 8 and the Cats had 5. But Vegan said, hey, that kind of sums up our team, right? Like, our team is more about the depth and all the unsung heroes and the fact that we are so complete, even if we aren't necessarily as star driven. But then the two guys that emerged as the number one stars on the team down the stretch were Justin Lamson and Taco Dowler. And then the fact of the matter is that those are the two guys that got it done in the biggest moment in the game.
It's what it should be. And by the way, it ain't by accident. That wasn't a progression read. This is the play. We think we can get Taco open. He's got to win on a little hook route. They're bringing the house, and guess who's wide open? And I thought the throw was everything in that particular situation, where it's a straight backwards running back pedal because they've got 7 coming to get after Lamson, and he's got to throw that thing so early and just lob it up there and just put beautiful air under it. But it was an unlosable win for Taco Dowler in the route concept. And so you got to give credit. And they talked about it, that 2 players before, I think on the second down play, they had that same thing and couldn't get it. They felt like they saw where Taco was open, ended up that the ball didn't go there, but he had it. And they're like, okay, this is what we're doing. And yeah, man, like, let's not overthink this thing. Let's not get too cute with it. Let's get our best player the football from our other best player, the quarterback. And if that's not enough, so be it. But we're going down with those guys being the ones, and it was enough. I will say it's a good thing Montana State won the football game. Because if they didn't, for the first time probably ever, I would be hammering Brent Vegan today.
Right.
Because I thought that offensively they played and called as bad a football game as I think that I've ever seen Montana State play.
I've heard people say this. I want to push back on that a little bit.
No, you're wrong on this, and I will come with all the guns.
Just listen to me. I thought the first half was brilliantly called because of the chess match that was going on. And in the first half, they only had the ball for 12 minutes. They had the ball 3 times, and they scored 3 touchdowns. That's it. So that was as executed as perfectly as possible. The 2 things that influenced the first half, I think the 3 things that influenced the first half so heavily was on Adam Jones's first long run, he basically busted it. He rolled his ankle on the inside and got his eye poked and got his contact knocked out both at the same time. Then he got a hit pointer later on in the game. So there's
got it right in the right in the kidney.
There's one of your best players. Like, he gutted it out, but I don't think he was even. I mean, he was not even half strength, let alone full strength.
How many rushes did he have?
5.
5.
Because he's hurt,
dude,
bro. Because he's hurt.
5.
Okay,
Julius Davis coming from the Big Ten. How many carries?
5.
5.
I know. I get that. But I'm not justifying the whole thing, because I'm agreeing with you when it comes to the second half of the football game. First half, Cats only had the ball for a certain amount of time, and the first 20 plays were scripted. If you go rewatch it, it is script, front to back,
and executed
because of what they'd seen on film. Because who's the best player in the game for Illinois State? 46, Travis Niekamp. Sorry, Travis Niecamp's son, Ty Niekamp. Who's the second best player in the game? The outside linebacker. So the brothers, and then you have the strong safety / nickel guy. Those 3 guys are the thing that takes away all that mid zone for Montana State. So what do? You hit them over the middle with all the mesh stuff. You get Taco in space. You get Dane Steele in space. Well, that's the whole first half then. You didn't have any really run plays within the script other than the 4 carries that Adam Jones did get. Then in the second half, though, I thought when you have an opportunity to sort of keep control of the game, that's when I thought it fell apart on them. But I think the other factors were, first of all, Montana State has been a decade, if not more, that Montana State's lines have gotten pushed around like that. I thought their offensive line and Illinois State's defensive line was largely a stalemate, but I thought the inside guys for Illinois State won most of the time. Other side of the ball, Bobcat defensive line got erased other than Paul Brott. Paul Brott made it rain, but the outside guys had no – I mean, I thought those tackles for Illinois State were unbelievable. 67 is a bad man, dude. He's cheap. He was throwing Zach Cruz all over the place. He got away with holds. He got away with blocks back. But he's a tough-ass dude.
That was a great war to watch on TV,
it was a great war to watch, man. So that's all to say that I agree with you in part. I thought the first half, though, is sort of a circumstance.
Well, you can't do. You're absolutely right. And by the way, the ball that's a big part of this is not just the first half; it's the entire game. Illinois State almost doubled up Montana State in terms of plays run offensively. I mean, it's insane.
85-53 was the final count.
I mean, and you also got to say to yourself, my God, 85-53 in plays, time of possession 2-1, and the most penalties any team's ever had in the history of the sport self-inflicted against them against Montana State, and you won the game. Like, that's an impossible thing to have happen.
9 of them pre-snap on offense.
It's incredible. And so here's where I'm going to just continue to dig in on this. The number of first – I don't entirely agree with you on the Cat offensive line versus the Illinois State defensive line as it pertains to their ability to run the football. Adam Jones ran the ball 5 times for 47 yards, and I know that he got hurt twice, really, in the football game. But he's out there. And also, Julius Davis has been their number 1 back up until basically the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he was fine and ready to roll as well. On first downs, they threw the ball, I don't know how many times in the second half, landing themselves occasionally with another first down, but then throwing it again to then land themselves in a 2nd and 10, or worse, 2nd and 15 with these false starts and so on. Just get them under center, get the center snap exchange on time, and hand the ball off a couple times and see what happens. They really never stopped Adam Jones. How would you ever be able to tell? Because he only ran the ball, 5 times in the whole national championship football. I mean, it's impossible. And by the way, why did you only have 53 plays? Maybe because it is you're throwing the ball all over the yard and giving it up a little bit.
You got to give Illinois State credit for their ability to pound the rock. I mean, that running back Vic Dawson, that guy's an animal. They had a 15-play drive. They had a 17-play drive. I mean, they were milking it.
20 and give the Cats credit. They had a 17-play drive that culminated in a field goal, and then like a 15-play drive that I think maybe culminated in nothing. Maybe it was another field goal, but they held the ball like crazy. But again, that's the more reason don't throw the ball on first down, man. Like, hand it off, see what you got. They're very good on the interior. I'm not saying the game plan insofar as understanding where are the dudes on this Illinois State team that is a very good football team, and how do we exploit them with a variety of different guys. And hey, this should be the Dane Steele Taco Dowler show through the air, given where the strength of the Illinois State defense is. That's not dumb. That's smart. But I put the pre-snap penalties on Brent Vegan. Okay? That's it. That's all. Once, bad on the team. Twice, bad on the team. 9 times, that's on you, bro. Well, you have got to get and it's not like he's not trying. I get that. But you got to get out there and figure out a way to do this in a manner that it's like, hey, guaranteed, no one's moving. Okay? You're under center. We're going on 1.
They would tell you that Illinois State was baiting them, that they were doing false snap counts. But guess what? Weber State, Yale, Stephen F. Austin all did that to Montana State too. Montana State had an unbelievable and unholy amount of false start penalties this year. I bet you they had 50 just in those games. I mean, they had 6 of them against Weber State, if I can remember right. They had a bunch against Yale. So this is part of it. You also wonder about the mentality of a guy, right? This is a complete implication, and I've never talked to this young man in my life, so I always feel weird when I give a piece of criticism about somebody I've never even spoken to, not even in recruiting or anything. But
if you're Reed and you're the center in the Natty.
Well, no, I've talked to JT Reed a bunch. I love JT Reed. That is explainable. The guy's nervous. He's playing his last football game of his life. I mean, he's a 7th-year senior, and he's nervous, man. I mean, whatever. Cedric Jefferson false started 4 times, and then he went straight to the portal. Do you think those things can totally be hand in hand, you know? Like last year, all the guys that played bad in the Natty for the Cats that basically lost in the game. Number 1, Rohan Jones, dropped a bunch of passes, jumped in the portal the day afterwards. I think those things go hand in hand sometimes.
Well, maybe so. It's the national championship, man.
Totally.
I don't think you have to be cleaner than that. Like, you're going to be nervous, but you can't be nervous for 60 minutes and overtime. You got to go out and settle in and play football.
Don't
And
you think the weight of history was just weighing it down upon them, though? That's my number one takeaway, is that all the mistakes that they made, I think it's all justifiable criticism moving forward. Now that the narrative shifts to being Montana State becoming a power, like a repeat national champion and a dynasty.
I promise you, Colter, not one player is thinking about the weight of history when they're jumping offside or false starting. That is just not how it works.
Not the weight of history, but the expectation of the people that are there to see you. That was the craziest experience. Is we went out 3 nights in a row before we went to the national championship game, and this was not it was nothing but a celebration. It was a coronation.
Yeah.
They already won.
Yeah.
The whole thing had already happened. Like, it's this reunion of, I mean, there's over 250 former players at the reunion. And like those guys, the 1984 team was like, we're so happy to pass the baton off to you guys. And I kept reminding everybody that we talked to, you guys still have to play the game.
It was the Seahawks' first Super Bowl with Russell Wilson, which I believe is the one that they won. And the first play of the game, and this is, by the way, prime MVP Russell Wilson, who's also a pretty, I don't know if chill, but like he can handle pressure. Let's put it like that. Okay. And the first play of the Super Bowl, he's under center, and they created a play that they knew was going to work that was just a throw to the flat. It was a 1 yard forward, but 10 yards off to the right. That is the absolute, let's get the easiest completion of all time for 2 yards, settle our boy into the Super Bowl with the first play that I'm sure they repped 100 times in the 2 weeks leading up to the game. And Russell Wilson goes under center. Dude comes on the wheel route, turns. There's not a defender in the screen. And he puts it dead into the middle of the sideline with the football. Like he just throws it 14 feet over his head and just out of bounds. Is pressure real? And does it make people do weird things in weird moments? Oh, yes, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I'm giving you the entire first half. I do not accept the second half in overtime. I don't accept it. That's unforgivable. Players, coaches, everybody. However, it is forgivable because you won the damn football game in the national championship.
That's right.
So it
That's
actually
right.
doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, history will say what? A 1-point win in one of the greatest college football games ever played for a national championship and a benchmark day in the history of the university for the Big Sky, and perhaps a turning point in the entire narrative of the sport going forward for the foreseeable future. I mean, that's what's there. And this complaint about pre-snap penalties and a lack of running the football is drivel and nothing in light of all of that. And that's all true. I get it. For as much time as I've spent complaining about that right here and now, it doesn't matter. And by the way, the highlights, I mean, the Dane Steele, #1 play on SportsCenter, greatest play Julius Davis made, tackling his own dude into the end zone on one leg and just getting him over. And then the Taco Dowler dive, like he didn't go full Marshawn Lynch with the old offhand grab there, but he did a beautiful dive there. And obviously the 4th down play. And I thought just plays made all over the place. I mean, how many behind the chains situations did Montana State overcome and still get a first down despite it being, I mean, Taco Dowler in the first drive, right, is like 2nd and 23 or 3rd and 23 even, and it's a little nothing throw into the flat and by himself, just see ya, first down, 26 yards, and you're like,
I was being a total stat nerd in the first quarter because the first Bobcat drive, they booked it as an 11-play, 90-yard drive. And I was like, oh no, something got messed up. They started on the 20. It could only be an 80-yard drive. So I was like looking for the official scorekeeper. I'm like going around trying to make a stink. Like, hey, we got to get this right. We can't have the stats off. It's only been one possession. We can't be screwed up for the whole game. And Stuber was like, no, dude, they committed 3 penalties. They gained 90 yards because they were behind the sticks.
90 yards total. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, though. I mean, are the Dowlers returning to Montana State?
Man, I don't know. I mean, Football Scoop said that Caden Dowler's agent reports that he was at UCLA on Wednesday and Cincinnati today.
Well, that's pretty much Bozeman.
Tacos in Mexico. So.
As he should be.
This is the evils of social media. Like, I don't have any idea other than the fact that I saw him posting pictures with his girlfriend in Mexico. So I guess Beyonce now. But are they coming back, man?
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'm going to say about it. It's a complete speculation, and we don't need to do that. If they were at any other school outside of Montana, University of Montana, or if they were at Montana State but not from Billings, they would be, see ya. Good run, appreciate you, but I got to get paid. And that might still happen, and I wouldn't begrudge them at all for that decision if they came to it. But this is why it is so critical to have in-state dudes be the dudes on your team when you're playing at Montana State, and at the FCS level, because there is a very real chance that these two guys come back, flout a bunch of money, a big payday from other schools and other universities, and way more exposure and all of that stuff, because they just want to be home and they want to keep that legacy and build that and try and run it back and go back to back at Montana State University. Now, maybe it won't happen, but maybe it will, but it would guarantee not if the scenario was different. And that's the benefit of having in-state guys come up in the system and stick with the program.
Town & Country Foods, proud to support the 2025 Bobcats on their way to Nashville, and also proud to support Skyline Sports on their road to Nashville as well. Town & Country Foods is 100% employee-owned. They have 9 locations serving Bobcat Nation around southwest Montana. Town & Country Foods focuses on great food at a great price with a huge selection of organic and natural foods. Check out their weekly flyers on tncfood.com. Town & Country Foods in Bozeman, Belgrade, Helena, Livingston, Lewistown, Billings, and Dillon. Town & Country Foods, a stalwart of the Bobcat community and a proud sponsor of the road to Nashville at Skyline Sports. Skyline Sports is on the road to Nashville. We couldn't do it without Blackfoot Communications. As the Montana State Bobcats take Bozeman pride on the road for the national championship, Blackfoot Communications is proud to support the businesses that keep this community moving. With managed services, high-speed internet, and business voice solutions, Blackfoot delivers the reliability and local support Bozeman businesses depend on game day and every day. Blackfoot Communications has been around for more than 70 years, providing high-quality jobs to people around southwestern Montana. To learn more, visit blackfoot.com. Blackfoot Communications, powering Bobcats and powering Bozeman businesses. Dusty Dawes of State Farm Insurance is a third-generation State Farm agent and a second-generation Bobcat football player. His State Farm agency in Bozeman has been locally owned and operated for 13 years, and Dusty's crew has a combined 40 years of experience with 5 fully licensed professional team members. Dusty Dawes State Farm offers auto, home, life, health, and small business insurance. They also are community-driven, supporting Montana State Athletics, Bozeman and Gallatin High School, Belgrade High School, and Park High in Livingston. Dusty Dawes has also given back to the Bozeman Cancer Center, Fort Ellis Fire Station, and the Shane Center in Livingston. Former All-American long snapper and tight end/offensive lineman, played under Mike Kramer 2000 until 2004. Dusty and his team can be reached anytime at 406-586-0084 or at DustyDawes.com. Dusty Dawes State Farm Insurance, proud to support Skyline Sports and send us on our road to Nashville. what we do is watch games intently and dissect them and rewatch them, and we find all these different things to critique and criticize and also praise and lift up and all that. That's what the job is. It's what the profession is. It's what we do. But I think what you just ended with is the actual ultimate point is that every single possible criticism you could have of this game is valid and will be talked about for the rest of time if you lose that football game. And the fact that you won makes none of it matter.
Totally.
What happened
Absolutely.
what happened in the 2014 national championship game? Nobody remembers. People just remember North Dakota State rolling through everybody and kicking everybody's ass. No, North Dakota State won that game by 1 point in Chris Kleiman's first season against who? Illinois State. How about Brock Spack, 0-2 in national championship games by a total of 2?
2 points.
The poor guy. But nobody remembers that. Nobody remembers that. They just remember, oh, man, NDSU rolled through 3 straight, and then they got a new coach, and they kept on doing it, and yada, yada, yada. You won the game. It's one of the things that sports fans do, too, is they remember the teams that win the championships with such crazy reverence. Like the greatest Chicago Bulls team ever, the one that went 72-10. That team had the best record of all time. They won the finals, all that stuff. Their margin of victory throughout that season was only 6 points per game. The Thunder doubled that last year. Nobody thinks the Thunder are better than that team. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, once it all settles in, we're going to build this up, and for like in 25 years when people are sitting around talking about this, man, the Cats just rolled people that year. And they did sometimes, but they also squeaked by against Yale. They also had to play the perfect game, and not even the perfect game. They just had to play so well in Missoula to then get the second round back in Bozeman. Now that they've won it, I just think it's such a, like the cliche is just the proverbial monkey off the back. This is a freaking elephant off the back. This is the Titanic lifted off of your shoulders now for Montana State as a university, let alone a football program.
Yeah, well, and I think when you go back to last year and you're favored to win a game against the Mighty Bison and show really that you probably are the better team, but don't get it done. And then you come back with this group and this team, and now like you said, I mean, it was a coronation in Nashville for Bobcat fans, 25,000 strong. And by the way, shout out to the Montana State faithful, man, for making that trip across the country. I mean, it's a fun trip to make. You know as well as anybody at this point, that's a hell of a town to go have a weekend in.
And just give me 1 second here. Thank you to everybody that came and talked to us and said hello and gave us your good graces and told us that you listen. It truly means the world to me. It was so cool to see everybody. I was filled with so much gratitude knowing how many people really care about this like we care about it and how many fans we have out there. And I didn't pay for a drink. So thank you to everybody that bought me beers. I had too many because they were all free. But thanks so much to everybody that came and said hi.
That's like an $8,000 payday in their 4 days right there. That's amazing. Let's hear it for the boosters of Montana State hooking it up for Colter. That ain't easy, man. It's not like taking our wives out, 2 drinks and you're done for. We're just getting started. It is. And I think I do think this is a little off topic of what we were talking about, but I do think that adds to the pressure. I can totally see I'll just say it for me. If I was a player for Montana State, it would be impossible for me to show up to that football game, look around that stadium, and think about the amount of time and money that perfect strangers to me had spent out of their lives and how much they cared about how I played on that day, more than as much as I want to play great for myself and my team and win a championship. And you look around and you think about the resources that are poured into this from people and yes, you can and should think about the gift, and I really view it that way, that you are giving to these people by putting in that hard work and being the best that you can be and playing as best as you can play on any given Saturday. But I would feel a real weight of responsibility that is additional to the pressure of a national championship game, wanting to win for my team, for my coaches and everything else, to think about half of the city of Bozeman bought plane tickets, took off work, bought VRBOs and hotel rooms to come across the country to watch me play a football game. And that, is such, first of all, it's something that you should always be appreciative of and grateful for. But also, I think that would certainly add to the, man, I have to deliver for these people. I need to deliver for them, and that can get shaky. Like at some point you got to go, well, you spent your money. That's your problem. I got to go ball out. But to get to that mindset is maybe not so easy for everybody, So some guys probably don't care, some guys probably do. But I totally get that. But a shout out to everybody associated, fans, administration, obviously, et cetera, that showed up there. And I think that I love that kind of deal too, because I think that the city of Nashville, people who had no idea there's a game coming, and then they go to the Grand Ole Opry because that's what you do, and then half of this, like somebody from the front of the stage goes, hey, I hear there's a national championship, and the place goes crazy and people looking around. No idea. I just came here to see, Charlie Apple play music or whatever it is, And then, what did I miss?
The Grand Ole Opry holds 1,800 people. And when they mentioned the championship game, I'm not kidding, 1,000 people stood up and started chanting, "Go Cats, go!" And you're right, like the people that are regulars there, that are just like the old silver-haired ladies that go on Saturday nights to just see some church music. They're looking around like, what is going on?
What the hell happened?
So the other funny one was the people on the Vanderbilt campus, because Monday was the first day back at school.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So there's all these people that go to Vanderbilt. They don't know shit about the SEC.
Yeah.
They're looking around. They're like,
well, they probably do know about the SEC.
They don't know anything about the Big Sky. Excuse me. They don't know anything
Correct.
They don't play about the SEC.
Yes.
They're sitting there looking around like, there is 25,000 people here getting drunk as hell on Monday afternoon on the first day of school. What is going on?
I know.
Unbelievable.
What a mashup too. This is, again, this is like, to me, this is where it gets so fun, is students at Vanderbilt University often are coming from some means, often have a pretty bright light on up here, which, by the way, not that different from Montana State. But what is different from Montana State is it's still a lot of cowboys and ranchers and that kind of thing going on. And it's certainly that sort of style and that sort of vibe that's out there. And to have that just rubber boots and handkerchiefs come rolling across your campus like a swarm of locusts has got to be. And when you had, I guarantee a lot of these people, no idea that there was even a game being played, right? They just showed up for back from winter break for school, and we're like, what is happening? And now, Montana is on the map even more than it was prior to, right?
Drink a beer and support a Grizz athlete. DraftWorks is a longtime favorite of beer enthusiasts across the Treasure State, and DraftWorks has created a sessionable, delicious lager that donates part of every sale to the name, image, and likeness efforts at the University of Montana. Up with Montana Lager is a crisp, effervescent beer that pours pale straw in color and greets you with an inviting malty aroma, and it's crafted with Grizz athletes in mind. If you're headed to the tailgate or stocking up to watch football, give back to the NIL Collective at the University of Montana by drinking Up with Montana Lager, proudly created by DraftWorks Brewing. Okay, last question.
Okay.
Thank all of our great sponsors of the road to Nashville. You've been watching and seeing their commercials throughout this podcast video. But this part of the conversation probably presented by DraftWorks. I saw the one of the owners of DraftWorks at the gym this morning, Jeff, and he loves us. He said he loves this podcast more than any of them. Loves when
Shout out, Jeff.
Breaking it down. So thanks to DraftWorks. If you're listening to this, I'm going to have this uploaded Thursday night. They have a comedy show on Thursday night. Probably only a few of you listeners are going to hear about that, but they have been doing more comedy at DraftWorks. So keep it tuned. We'll tell you when the shows are coming up. If you can make it down tonight at 8:30, $20 going to get you in the door and also get you a free beer. So go down and enjoy some comedy there at DraftWorks. But we'll let you know when there's more comedy coming up. But either way, we love those guys, and they brew great beer, and we're happy to have them as a part of the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. Okay, the ultimate question for at least half of our audience.
Yeah.
What the hell does this mean for the Grizz?
Well, the number one question I've been asked by everybody, and I'm here in Missoula that's walking around that's Grizz fans, is would Montana have won that game? And my answer has been 60-40 yes. I think they win that game if they're in it. I think there are some matchups that clearly are in favor of Illinois State in that game against Montana, but I think there's firepower that the Grizz have, especially in the pass game, that Illinois State could not match. I think it would have been an absolute barn burner and a lot of scoring. But aside from that, the reason I bring that up is I think there is a certain forlorn feeling that Montana State went and got it done, and it could have been us, right? If you're a Grizz fan, like we could have won the national championship, is what Montana is thinking. Grizzlies probably thinking we would have won the national championship if we go there and get it done. And I don't see how it can be worse for Montana. I mean, a 0-win season would be worse, let's be clear. But to have the only 2 losses of your entire season be to Montana State, who then goes on and after beating you wins the national championship, something that you have been hunting your whole for 25 years, something that Bobby Hauck has been hunting his entire career and has not yet achieved. To have to sit with that and go, the new North Dakota State of the FCS is the ultimate rival of the University of Montana. And as good as the Grizzlies were, and they were fabulous this season, to not be able to clear that hurdle that evidently after last year's Montana State team that was outstanding actually got raised. They cleared last year's Cats hurdle. They didn't clear this year's Cats hurdle. And that is oh, by the way, when I say they cleared last year's Cats hurdle, obviously they lost. What I'm saying is last year's team got better than last year and cleared the hurdle that Montana State had placed last season, but they raised it. I don't know, man. I don't know where Montana goes from here. I don't know how what you do is you do what you do every year, right? You just reload and you try and find the guys and you try and figure out the way that you can do it. And I think it has to start point blank period with in-state recruiting, but you're getting absolutely bludgeoned in that world right now. And after 2 losses in the same season and the Cats going to win the national championship, going to be a tough sell, man, to get the top 5 recruits in the state of Montana to come play in Missoula. So that's the piece to me where, then your other alternative is the transfer portal. And I think that is just, there's so much more fluctuation there. I don't know how they do it. Now, to have your quarterback in place, right? To have perhaps your running back in place, who, if they come back, will be the 2 best at the position in the conference, maybe in the country. That's huge. But it feels like you climbed a mountain only to be met with a rock face that now you have to go straight up.
But don't you think it's objectively good for the Grizz? I know that's going to be crazy for Grizz people to hear. But here's why I think it's objectively good for the Grizz. Because to me, there's only 3 or 4 criticisms you can make of the Grizz when you're comparing them to the Cats. And there is a world in which you can live in Grizzland and say, well, those criticisms are invalid. Because what the hell have the Cats ever won besides beating us? And I think that's such a silly thing to say because, they're beating you. So that's the first step to the ascension to the nationally elite. But there's no debate now about in-state recruiting. Who scored the game-winning touchdown? A kid from Billings. Who's one of the best players in the game? Cole Taylor, a kid from Great Falls CMR who grew up in a Grizz family, and you didn't get him because he was a quarterback in high school and you didn't want to develop him, or whatever the reason is, right?
Yeah.
Proof of concept. Yeah. That is.
Yeah.
It was a criticism and a theory. Now it is a fact.
Yeah.
Strength and conditioning. Sean Harris, best strength coach in the country. He got Montana State to this point. Brett Deegan said he's the most important person in the organization. Who's the strength coach at Illinois State? The old Grizz strength coach, Matt Nicholson.
Right.
Talked him before the game. It's not a theory anymore. It's a fact.
It's doing it. Yeah.
Recruiting, period. In-state, out-of-state. Who's got a bunch of brash, young, up-and-coming assistants? MSU. Who doesn't? Montana. It's affirmed. It's fact. That's why I think it's good for the Grizz, though, because now there's been this notion for the last, I mean, even 40 years, but especially the last 25 years in this state, that the only thing the Cats cared about was beating the Grizz. And the only thing the Grizz cared about was winning national championships. And so then, ironically, when beating the Grizz became commonplace for the Cats, now they have this weird complex where it actually seems like the Grizz live in their head rent-free, even though they're better than the Grizz, because it's all they've ever cared about. But now the Grizz have this weird complex where they've never cared about the Cats. And now they need to care about the Cats. The mentalities need to shift for each team to ascend to where they need to be at. And I think that's the next step for the Cats, is to get rid of the "Eat Shit Grizzlies" chant and stop doing that when you're playing other teams. But for the Grizz, it's to look inward and say, okay, where do we start? It's not eating the whole pie of the FCS. It's beating the team right up the road.
Yeah. So first of all, the chant's never going to stop. So you can hate it or love it or whatever, but like you can just put that to rest. The other thing is, I will agree with you with a condition, and it's an important condition, that this could be great for the Grizzlies if the people who matter at the University of Montana as it pertains to putting together a football team and football program agree with this assessment and see this in the same way and go, it ain't us, it's them, and we have to figure out a way to take this back because we've lost it. And what's the first step to overcoming addiction, right? You have to admit that you're an addict. And up to this point, the University of Montana football has not admitted that they have a cap problem. They have not. And is this enough to admit that you have a cap problem and thereby a national championship problem and thereby a football problem? I don't know. If it is, then it could be the best thing that could happen to Montana in that respect. Will that happen? I don't know the answer to that.
Right. Tootell on the Big Sky Breakdown. Thanks for doing it, buddy. Let's keep doing football talk. Why not? Let's just keep doing it.
I'll see you in a week. Can't wait.
I mean, we got portal stuff going on. I'm sure we're going to have some movement.
We got the Packers beating the Bears by 21 on the road on Saturday night.
I ask you about Justin Green going to Wazoo. There's all sorts of stuff. That's all over the place. So we'll do it again next week. Good to see you.
Congratulations to Montana State. Deserved. At the end of the day, everything else, you take that trophy home and you make no apologies, and you owe nothing to anybody other than just a vacation in Mexico.
Hey, congratulations to the state of Montana. I know there's a lot of people that are Grizz fans that are licking their wounds and not liking this at all, but I promise you this is the best thing for the state because
no doubt.
It's proof of concept. We are the craziest people about college football that exists per capita in the freaking United States of America, and no one has won a national championship since I was 14. I don't have any hair. They had to win it. Somebody had to win it. It would have been equally as joyous for us as media people and people that have dedicated our whole freaking lives to this if it's either side. But now I think it's just that now that there is a sense of belief that it can be done. And I hope that's the way Montana internalizes it.
Indeed.
Tuesdays with Tootell on a Thursday. We'll see you next week.
See ya.